Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a brand new stream of Cheesybit and Zbit, where we talk of everything that's related to cryptocurrency, financial markets, and all the financial products that we talk about. Guys, welcome to a brand new stream. I know you must be wondering what am I doing this time at this point in time. It's 11 o'clock in Dubai, and we have just started. Our stream. Like I was mentioning, every now and then there are some changes that are happening across because our platform is all the more ready and it's going to go live any soon. So you might see something very exciting coming your way. So you have to stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, you need to subscribe to our channel. And if you haven't liked, subscribed, notified yourself, you have to do all of that, because once our platform is going to get launched, you have so many exciting giveaways coming your way. So guys, I am so excited early in the morning. Usually this time I don't stream, but this is the first time ever after such a long time that I'm actually streaming during this time. And you guys also must be wondering what am I actually doing at this time, right? So that's okay. Today we are going to have like long hours and long sessions where we are going to talk so much. I don't know what am I even going to talk about, but let's just try to keep this as entertaining as possible so that we are connected to each other. We are basically talking to each other, and everything else is still going. I don't like talking to myself. So in that case, guys, whenever you join the stream, please wish me a hi, say me a hi, so that basically we can connect with each other and we can talk to each other, guys. So what's happening with all you guys? Like, tell me, Zbit people, Cheesybit people. I know once our platform is going to get launched, I'm sure you can use these platforms to trade as well. So most probably you will see that you will be utilizing this platform like any other platform. So I'm sure all you guys, whoever speaks to me, I know that you guys use various different channels, like the exchange platforms that you guys use. Like I'm sure some of you are using CoinDCX, some are using Delta Exchange, some of them are using WazirX, I don't know, like Bybit, OKX, Kraken, whatnot. So we are also going to be on that list for sure. So you have to stay tuned. You have to be connected to us in order to, just a sec. If anybody has joined the stream and is sending me a hi, I wouldn't be able to see it because I don't know what's happening with my. Every day I face this issue. Anyways, that's okay. Yeah, so you can actually utilize our platform to spot trade too, as well as maybe you can also utilize this platform for even doing maybe like the way you do. So yes, sorry. So you can utilize these platform like for any other purposes. Maybe you might see initially when, because this is in very early stage, you might not see all the features maybe up and there. Maybe you'll see some of them getting because this is a new thing. Of course it'll keep on adding. That is what I would say. I'm not promising anything on that front, but yes, to begin with, yes, you can maybe utilize this particular platform for say spot trading, if you love spot trading. And then maybe what all options you can get, that you have to explore only when it is getting launched. So I can't really reveal out, or I can't really give any kind of clues or anything, because even I'm not so clear about that particular thing. So I will be getting back to you guys on that front later on. So let's just see what's happening with the markets. The performance of SUI has been very weird. I don't know, for some reason it keeps going in some other direction. Guys, while I'm actually talking to you guys, I'm also going to play some videos in between, not necessarily maybe not necessarily about cryptocurrency, but I can play some other videos too, so that we kind of keep going. I don't want us to get bored of anything. I want us to be like connected to each other, and I also want to make sure that we are actually talking like while we are discussing all these things about cryptocurrency, we also keep it like a little more fun, and have more fun activity, in the sense we can play some videos, we can have some fun element added to it, and let's not just keep these sessions towards only cryptocurrency. So hopefully this is how we will be continuing, because I don't want to bore you guys with 4 hours of just ज्ञान और फिर हम लोग पता नहीं, मुझे तो समझ भी नहीं आता कि इतना ज्ञान तो इतने घंटों अगर मैं बोलूंगी भी तो शायद ही आपके दिमाग में आएगा। तो बेटर है कि मैं बोलूं नहीं ना, मैं बोलूं उतना ही जितना आपको समझ आए। तो खैर, बिटकॉइन भैया basically has been performing like outstandingly. I don't know what's wrong with Bitcoin. It's like 110,601. I want to, why I opened all these particular tabs is because I wanted to see news for each one of them, because I want to take you through whatever is happening across all the cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin has reached a new high of 111,000, driven by increased institutional investment and strengthened regulatory support, enhancing its stature in the financial sector. Wow, what a great, the great high that it has taken. I think this is the all-time high that again Bitcoin has reached, right? I don't think prior to this Bitcoin has ever reached 111,000, which seems to be like too good to be, like, I don't know what to say. Yes, of course, the predictions for Bitcoin has been like end of the year it's going to be like 250,000 as well. I don't know how is it even going to go and reach that level. I am still wondering, because it's still at 111. I don't know if that's really possible for it even to reach 250,000. Guys, what do you think? Do you think it's going to reach? I mean, all the predictions that do come on the platform, on the coin market cap or on any any of the very reliable resources like Coin Codex, or even some of the I do read some of the newspapers of like Economic Times also actually give some kind of information about cryptocurrency. So a lot of hype is there everywhere in the media. So what do you think? Of course I still have to find more about Bitcoin in terms of what other platforms are telling. I could only find it through Coin Codex or Coin Market Cap about it, or maybe Coin Gabber. That is what I could do. But other than that, I really have to find out other resources also, maybe some resources from the other countries. Like maybe in India, I was actually reading Economic Times, and Economic Times had some information about SUI being, going to get, like, it's going to reach $5 and whatever the predictions were about. So the news was even there on that platform. So I really have to find out whether there's anything related to that on any of the Indian platforms, or maybe I really want to see even in the UK platforms, US platforms and all of that. So let's see what we can find out more. So 111,000 is all-time high for Bitcoin. So congratulations to all you guys, whoever is trading in Bitcoin. You guys are seeing some really good days. I'm sure all this downward upward trend is anyways in, the one who knows how to trade, they know how to utilize the platforms anywhere, like, whether it's a short, it's for it's a downtrend market, or it's a upward trend market, whatever, they know how to utilize these platforms at any given point in time. And I totally know, like, even when I am actually trading, sometimes I really don't care if it's going in downward direction or it's going in upward direction. So let's just see what all opportunities we have. So yesterday I had taken three trades, and I couldn't really get onto my third trade still, because I'm still waiting the price to shoot up. It was my mistake, I can say, that I didn't take the opportunity for the 5-minute candle yesterday, like I was talking to you guys, and meanwhile, I don't know, somehow it slipped my mind. And I couldn't really, get out of the trade. I was almost making $15 to $18 at that point in time, but I really didn't take the trade, like I didn't get out of the market at that point in time. So let me just show you the results. I'm so happy and excited because two of my trades were successful and I was like so happy about it. Right now, one of my lots is not giving me that kind of profit, but I'm very positive about getting the profit for sure. You can see, maybe if I just try to pull out that information for you guys. Okay, I don't know if I'm able to. So you can see my profit for yesterday was 20.66. I think that was a combined profit, if I'm not wrong, or I'm guys slightly unsure whether it's for the day or if it's. Yeah. Anyways, I'm at the moment, still recovering out of the third trade, which I have to. So hopefully by evening, I should be done with it and I will be seeing some sort of profits coming on that front also. Right now, I'm not on profit on that particular on that particular lot, but it's okay. I think there are days when you kind of not get through immediately. Some days are like you have to wait for longer hours, and which is very much okay. I don't think you need to rush into anything until so yeah, that's what I wanted to say. So even in the days when it is not happening immediately, I don't think so we need to panic, because cryptocurrency has so much to offer. I know we do have these measures of putting a stop loss at times, and we do have these measures of getting out of trade, and I totally agree with it. When sometimes it seems like you have to wait for longer hours, it's better you just get out of the trade at a smaller little loss, but then make a position again which can give you profits for the next trade. There's not an ending to it. Some days it's okay to even take a loss in order to make sure that you get a right position. Ultimately, it's about taking the right position at the right time, and that's what would give you the amount of profits. Otherwise, you're just wasting your energy and time towards something that's not going to give you anything. So please don't do that mistake. Even in case, like, sometimes you do take trade, I wouldn't say just panic and just sell it off. Just hold on for some time. Maybe you might get the profits in, because if the loss is too much to cover, I would say is to hold on until you reach that at least break even, and then you close down the trade. Otherwise, it's better that you can actually put a stop loss and just get out of it and then make a profit in the next trade for sure. So let's just move on and see what else is happening on the news side. Texas House advances the strategic Bitcoin reserve bill pending governor's approval for state-backed Bitcoin holdings, potentially paving the way for states to integrate Bitcoin into their financial system. That's good, right? So Texas House advances the strategic Bitcoin reserve. So that's a good news. I think this is what has actually led to the positive highs for Bitcoin. Of course, the adoption of Bitcoin being the strategic bill strategic reserve is definitely a good news. When there's a lot of adoption for any particular cryptocurrency, it's getting used and adopted way too much, then you will see that a lot of investors would be interested in buying it. And when the buying increases, you know that the price shoots up like crazy. So that's what has been happening with Bitcoin. In the last 24 hours, Bitcoin's price moved 3.77% to 110.5K, and trading volume moved to 66.19% with 90.262 billion. That's a great amount, honestly speaking. Then Bitcoin is gaining institutional and mainstream acceptance as it integrates into global reserves, and traditional financial institutions like JP Morgan allow Bitcoin investments. Wow, that's again a good news actually. Like, JP Morgan, being a very reputed bank, is also getting into, having Bitcoin investments, which is a good news. Of course, it's also one of the reasons maybe why Bitcoin prices are soaring very high. Reason being because the financial institutions are adopting it. The strategic reserve is being accepted in Texas. These are all the reasons. Of course, we saw that the Bitcoin has been going like great heights. Institutional interest in Bitcoin surges with significant inflows into Bitcoin ETFs despite market volatility, signaling strong confidence in digital asset stability. In the last 24 hours, Bitcoin price moved positive 1.14% to 106.43. This is, I think, a one day of good news. But then, yes, of course, Bitcoin investments and all of this adoption, the strategic reserve, all these are good news for Bitcoin. That's why we could see like it's being adopted everywhere, and that's why we are seeing that there's too much of demand and there's institutional investments and everything going on. So we see that there is huge demand for crypto, for Bitcoin for sure. So what else? I think so. Kruger speculates that these events would not go unnoticed globally. By mid-August, he believes that Germany might announce the euro will be back 10% by gold reserves. Simultaneously, he expects that emerging markets such as Venezuela, Turkey, Nigeria will begin shifting their reserves into Bitcoin, distancing themselves from the US dollar. Wow, that's good, great. Guys, this seems to be like... I don't know, for some reason I feel like this is like taking away the power from USA, which has been always on the front to be the superpower or something. I don't know if this is going to be a move where which is going to empower USA more, or is it going to, I don't know what's with this actually. What do I conclude out of it? I don't know, because if everybody is moving from US dollar to Bitcoin as a reserve, I think that's a very revolutionary movement that's going to happen. That's my thought process. I don't know what you guys have to think of it. In line with this shift, Kruger predicts that Tether will release a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin, further cementing crypto's role in the global finance. During this phase, he believes Bitcoin could climb past 265,000 and gold could reach $6,700. Wow. By early September, Kruger anticipates intensified instability. So, treasury yields could surpass 8.5%, triggering broad concern. In his view, real estate prices in the US might collapse by 35%, Bitcoin might hit 390,000, gold could surge to 8,900. Guys, look at that price. I think I need to buy gold right away. Guys, we should buy, even if it seems to be like expensive right now. Maybe until this thing comes into picture and everything, the whole scenario of the world changes, the global economies, everywhere, it's like changing all the scenarios. Then, we are going to be like Just imagine Bitcoin reaching like 390,000. I was just telling you this only, right? Like, if the predictions are it would reach like 250,000. Like, imagine it's reaching 390,000. What would it look like? And even 6,700 for gold or 8,900 for gold, that's way too much. If I convert that into Indian rupees, let me see how much is that going to be. That's like way too much to handle, I guess. In India, people are just too crazy about gold. I'm just wondering how is that even going to get accepted by anybody in India, especially because given that people in India love buying gold. Oh my God, 8,900, which is like 7,61,572. Wow. That's for I'm sure. Whoa. Okay. Is it? It's not given for how many ounces of how many. Is it? Is it 1 ounce or 40 grams? I'm not sure. Okay, I'm not sure. 8,900 looks to be like too big number, but I think it's for some. I'm sure it's not for 1 ounce for sure. It's for a couple of them. I'm sure it can't be like 8,900 for 1 ounce. I don't know. Anyways, it has not given that clarity, so let's not just get into that. So, institutional adoption and global monetary innovation. Later in September, Kruger envisions a historic move by the International Monetary Fund, which he believes could unveil a new global reserve basket composed of 50% Bitcoin, 30% gold, 10% Chinese yuan, and 10% other currencies or commodities. At the same time, the Bank of England might introduce Bitcoin-backed gilt bonds, significantly boosting institutional credibility for crypto assets. Wow. This seems to be some news. Wow. So, it's believed that a historic move by the IMF would be coming into picture, which would be unveiling a global reserve basket, which is going to have a combination of 50% of Bitcoin, 30% gold, 10% Chinese yuan, and then 10% other currencies or commodities. That's good. So at the same time, the Bank of England is also going to introduce some Bitcoin-backed gilt bonds. As a result, Kruger projects Bitcoin would soar to 525,000. Guys, this seems to be like beyond our reach for sure. Like 525,000. Imagine, I don't know if I'm ever going to have that kind of money to even buy a Bitcoin. Reflecting growing optimism about decentralized finance replacing fiat-based models. The predicted climax, despite interventions such as freezing the 10-year-old yield at 9.2%, Kruger claims that the Federal Reserve will be unable to halt the broader collapse. According to his scenario, Bitcoin would ultimately peak at 600,000, gold would stabilize at 10,400. The S&P he warns could lose half its value, and the dollar index might bottom out at 68. He describes this as a total erosion of confidence in traditional finance. So Ethereum's whales on the move, over 700 million in Ethereum ships across Kraken and unknown wallets. Blockchain infrastructure and the rise of RLUSD as fiat-based systems unravel. Kruger suggests blockchain native alternatives will rapidly gain traction. He highlights RLUSD on the XRP ledger and Ethereum as one potential winner by the end of Q1 2025. He predicts RLUSD could reach a 44.2 million market cap on the XRP alone, signaling an accelerating migration towards decentralization infrastructure. So Fred Krueger's predictions outline a dramatic and sweeping reconfiguration of the global monetary order, whether viewed as highly speculative or prescient. His theses reflect rising skepticism towards fiat systems, central banks, and inflation-prone policies. According to Krueger, Bitcoin and blockchain-based finance, they are not merely alternatives; they are poised to become the new foundation of the global financial system. I think this is very, very great news, honestly speaking, given that there's a lot of institutional adoption. One of the very reputed banks like JP Morgan is actually taking up to make sure that it is, in fact, like many organizations are proceeding to make Bitcoin as part of their financial system. And definitely we can see that there is so much hype that's between the countries like Venezuela, Turkey, Nigeria. All of them are like trying to shift to the Bitcoin reserve. I'm sure this adoption is going to bring a massive, massive kind of change in the way how we look at the financial systems. Definitely this is going to be integrated in the financial system, so we will see a lot of different things happening on that front. And I don't know what more new things are going to come in that area, how people are going to even accept it, adopt it, because sometimes when new things come up, it's a bit difficult to kind of to accept it like immediately. So but this move, I'm sure, is going to bring a revolutionary change. And I am sure all of us, the way the people who are actually working in the background are excited. Even we are so excited to kind of see these changes, how they are going to impact in a way. So I think we need to just hold on to all of these and then see what more next is going to come and how far it is going to take all of us. So that was a bit of news on Bitcoin. Let's just move maybe towards Ethereum and see what's happening with Ethereum. I do want to see some Ethereum news too, because Ethereum has been performing like really well, and I really want to someday get on to Ethereum also and try to learn more of it, and also do a bit of more analysis on that part. Ethereum aims to boost layer 1 gas limit tenfold to integrate ZK rollups and enhance network scalability. Ethereum Spectra upgrade and new leadership foster developer commitment and attract institutional investor confidence, enhancing network scalability and potential Ethereum access via BlackRock's ETF amendment. In the last 24 hours, Ethereum's price moved 4.62% to 2.66K, and trading volume moved to 60.8%, 36.83 billion. So I think Ethereum as in connection with even Bitcoin, I think not just both of them, most of the cryptocurrencies are actually performing like really well. But Ethereum of late, we have seen such a tremendous growth. Of course, even Bitcoin, we saw like great growth past couple of months. We've been watching it like so closely. At one point in time, it went even till 95,000. Bitcoin was at 95,000. Now you can see it at its all-time high of 111,000, which definitely is seeing a lot of growth. So what's happening in the background is, of course, we know for a fact that there's so much of institutional adoption for Bitcoin, and when the Bitcoin is all the more on the high, it's always takes the other altcoins also on the that roller coaster ride. So I think the institutional adoption, the financial institutions coming up and adopting it as their one of the investments options in their sector, plus also the countries like Venezuela, Turkey, Nigeria, all of them also moving ahead to adopt Bitcoin as a strategic reserve, has actually seen a lot of adoption in recent past. And that's the reason we can see the prices of Bitcoin soaring that great heights. That is all because of so much adoption. And I am 100% sure with the way Bitcoin is right now performing, it has amazing future coming up. 390,000 is what is being predicted in coming few years. I don't know, 525,000 also is something that they are predicting. I'm sure it's going to reach that level when these kind of predictions do come. It does get true, and we have always seen, like, it's not just for the sake of hype or something, but it does happen. And we have seen now Bitcoin has almost reached its all-time high. So, and you never know, everything is possible. So maybe by end of 2025, whatever the predictions for Bitcoin, like it would reach around 250,000 is also possible, because the results are in front of you guys. I don't think there's anything that you actually need even to be told. It is all the more there everywhere, and whatever information is being spread out, they actually turn out to be true. They are not rumors, they are not bad news, or they are not something just being hyped or something. So even if right now, if you haven't really got into this journey of cryptocurrency, you need to buck up, guys. You need to go and check out everything that's happening in this front, because this is the new revolution. This is the new world. This is what has been happening, and this is where it is heading towards. So it has enormous and gigantic opportunity across, like, and I'm not just one crypto lover. I'm just each one of them, you just go and pick up any particular single project and try to do research on it. The more you do research, the more you'll fall in love with it. Reason being, there's so much of opportunity lying there, and we are not able to identify that even at this stage, when there's so much that's being like it's being forwarded. Like there are so many channels, there are so many like platforms which are like educating people on this front, that this Bitcoin is the future of the world, Bitcoin is the new revolution. And even after that, if people are not adapting to it, it's really sad to see, because you guys are seriously losing out on something very big, which actually can or could have turned your pockets into something really great. But if you are really not onto this journey, still you are really losing out on something. Guys, we have since the inception of this channel, like since I've joined this channel, I've been doing so many sessions on different kind of like maybe products. We have seen we have looked into the financial products as well, and we have looked into any other asset class that could have actually given you, like traditionally whoever was investing into different kind of products, whether it was real estate, whether it was gold, whether it was S&P 500, Nasdaq, or it was Nifty 50, or any other product you think of. We have I've compared it to all of them, and we have seen that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies that outperformed crazily. And then still, even if you're like at this moment in doubt whether you should still begin the journey or not, then trust me, you're like losing out on really big bucks that could have been in your pocket, which you're actually letting it sit into somebody else's pocket. So that's what is happening. So learn the basics of it, learn the overall project thing, what's it all about, what this technology is all about, because technology is the way to live a better life forward. And these technologies are bringing in so many revolutions in the history of mankind, that there's enormous opportunity. Even if we think about any I'm sure even in the stock markets, when you are actually looking into investing into any stocks in any companies, no company right now, or no product in this world is right now having that kind of potential which these kind of projects are having. So I think you have to really look for such kind of things. Ethereum being one of the very good projects. Then we have Bitcoin, we have BNB, XRP, Solana, whatnot. So let's just look into each one of them slowly, one by one. Ethereum scalability and security boosted by Sussens Lab, a high-speed ZKVM backed by 55 million funding. Vitalik Buterin proposes partially stateless nodes to enhance Ethereum scalability and decentralization by reducing hardware cost. I think this is a good news, of course, because for any co-founder to kind of reduce on the cost and to be able to produce something which is of more value to the people is, of course, something which will enhance the overall demand for that particular thing. So I think that's a good move towards whatever is happening on that front. Ethereum strengthens post Petra upgrade with increased realized cap and an exchange supply depth, signaling network health and market confidence. Ethereum sees a 205 million inflow bolstered by the Petra upgrade and strategic shifts in DeFi and NFTs, highlighting heightened market interest. And I need to read this one. And innovation. Ethereum experiences major whale accumulation and rising self-custody trends, indicating bullish momentum and tighter supply dynamics. So, in the last 24 hours, Ethereum's price moved 2.33% to 2.54K, and trading volume moved 8.14%, minus to 23.71 billion. So I think Ethereum is also doing well on that front, given that any cryptocurrency project, what do they need? They only need adoption, right? That is what is happening. So the more it gets adopted, the more it gets demanded. It's a good news for the project to grow and to also shine, and also to reach its all-time high. So Vitalik Butrin's roadmap aims to improve Ethereum scalability using stateless nodes, rising gas limits, and introducing AIP 444 to enhance decentralization by reducing the node storage. While these may seem like, wow, these are like way too much to handle, like some of the jargons that are being used, but that's just to say that there is some kind of upgrade or development that's happening on the project. So definitely when the project improves, when the project develops, there's more of adoption, there's more of everything that you can see across happening. So you will see that the prices of those particular cryptocurrencies tends to raise. So I think there's a development. That's what it is saying about. That's why we saw in recent past Ethereum's price soaring high. Maybe these are one of few of the reasons that we actually could identify. Coming to BNB, let's just see what's happening on BNB front. We have ample time, guys, today, so we have to talk way too much. Some of the sessions I'm going to talk maybe just cryptocurrency. Some of the sessions we can just keep it like maybe not cryptocurrency. We might talk something else. If in case you happen to join the stream, please make sure that you say a hi to me and connect with me so that we can talk more on that front. Like what you want to talk to me, like you can just send a hi, you can just tell me anything that you wish to say. Not necessarily you have to talk crypto, because I don't know if that's too boring, or if even if it's not boring, then I know we have to talk about it. Anyways, yeah. So BNB surges with Maxwell hard for Golden Cross and rising future interest. BNB chains Thena launches V33 with modular upgrades, improving liquidity management and cross-chain governance, adding confidence in DeFi projects. BNB chain integration with Bubble Maps V2 enhances token transparency and on-chain analytics, providing better user insights and decision-making. What does this mean? BNB surges with Maxwell hard fork, Golden Cross, and rising futures interest, boosting its 2025 outlook. BNB chains Thena launches V33 modular upgrade, improving liquidity management, cross-chain governance, and adding confidence in DeFi projects. BNB chain integration with Bubble Map V2 enhances token transparency and on-chain analytics, providing better user insights and decision making. In the last 24 hours, price moved 4.82% to $68, and trading volume moved to 46.6% to 2.54 billion. Yeah. Bulldon B hits 100 million in 24-hour volume, fueled by BNB chain's 100 million liquidity incentives for stronger growth. Binance maintains transparency with 97% of BNB on-chain amid ongoing legal arbitration challenges. So even on the BNB front, we have seen in the past few days, there has been lot of, because of adoption and a lot more development that's happening on that front. We saw the prices of BNB as well increasing. BNB Chain's alpha program drives innovation and boosts activities, leading to a 104.6% increase in trading volume while enhancing AI and DeFi applications. BNB Chain supports DeFi growth and institutional adoption through initiatives with Amber International's 100 million crypto reserve and the BNB fund. So you know that BNB token is a token which Binance platform holds. So we can see there is a lot of institutional adoption for BNB chain, as well as there's like a lot of development that's coming on the front, which saw some kind of great growth on that front. BNB chain leads with 3.6 million daily users, excelling in DeFi and D apps while offering low fees and high user engagement, and dominates new token launches with 71% boosting transactions and trading volumes. Yeah. I think that was on the BNB front. Let's just move towards seeing what's happening with Solana. So all these cryptocurrencies are seeing some kind of growth. They are, of course, seeing some kind of development. Also, they are being adopted widely by all the institutions and everyone. So that's why we can see that it is performing like really, really great. And all of their prices and the volume is increasing day by day. So I think that is a great news for all cryptocurrencies. Now moving on to Solana. Solana's Alpenglow upgrade enhances blockchain efficiency by implementing voter and rotor consensus protocols, promising sub-second transaction finality. Some of the words I know, guys, some of the words even you guys might be not understanding it that well. While you may think, what is this all about? This is basically like, this is a clueless thing, of course. I know at times it's a bit difficult to understand. Just a sec. So there's a Solana's Alpenglow upgrade. I do want to see what is this. I think it's some kind of project which is there. The release of Alpenglow will be turning point for Solana developers. Solana developers are planning a major upgrade with a new consensus protocol called Alpenglow, aiming for near instant finality. Alpenglow will replace Solana's proof of history and Tower BFT systems with voter and rotor for faster transaction process. The upgrade could enhance developer experience and increase demand for Sol tokens by enabling real-time applications. Solana developers are planning what could be the blockchain's most ambiguous core upgrade to date, one that replaces its current technology stack with a redesigned consensus protocol built for near instant finality and responsiveness. The new system called Alpenglow was unveiled on Monday by infrastructure firm. Let's see what this is all about.
You're watching CoinDesk. This next interview is one of the highlights from Consensus 2025.
How's it going, everyone? Cody Carbone here, CEO of the Digital Chamber. An awesome conversation today that I am honored to moderate. Two gentlemen up here with me that I don't think need any introduction. Nathan McCauley, co-founder and CEO of Anchorage Digital. Sergey Nazarov, co-founder of Chainlink. Really cool conversation for you today. These two gentlemen have been spending a lot of time in my hometown, Washington, D.C. I don't think anyone needs an introduction to Anchorage or to Chainlink, but I think what people are interested in is, why are these two founders spending so much time now in the nation's capital? I think where we have to start, March 7th, the crypto summit at the White House. Both of you were there. Give us the inside scoop. How was your trip to the crypto summit at the White House? Did you see or hear anything that surprised you? Maybe we start with you, Nathan, and go to Sergey.
Sure. So I think it was just an incredible opportunity to get to visit the White House. At least for me, it was the first time I've been there. I don't know about you, Sergey, but it was really a culmination of one of the things that I think President Trump promised during the campaign was to really listen to the industry, to invite us in, to establish kind of an open dialogue with the industry about what's going on. And from the first or second day executive orders that he passed, leading up right there to that summit, it's been the beginning and kind of the middle, in a sense, of, I would say, incredible engagement with the digital asset industry. That's just been so refreshing. And it was just really an honor to be there. And I really appreciated it.
Yeah, it was great. At the end of the day, the two things that surprised me, firstly, was the seniority of the people there. So the Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of Commerce, Hester Peirce, the Commissioner of the SEC, Caroline Pham from the CFTC, senators, congressmen, all these extremely senior people. And that's not something you see in countries where the blockchain adoption rate is very high. And to see that level of commitment and interest for such senior people in the government was, frankly, very positive and motivating about my own views and ideas of how Washington, D.C. is going to progress with these problems. The second one that I found very interesting was the concept that our industry was unfairly persecuted, which I generally agree with. And there was this whole conversation before, during, and after the public part of the session, where there was a tendency to view our industry as being artificially depressed in the United States. And the word lawfare was used a lot of times from the people in the administration and by a few others. But generally speaking, I think that there has been a period of kind of unfair singling out of our industry because of one or two negative events, of one or two bad actors, or the loss of consumers' money in a few individual cases like FTX or a few others. And I think that it made very clear to me that time is like well behind us, right? So you have all these senior folks, and you have a clear understanding that, whatever happened is in the past, and that it kind of needs to be right-sided towards an acceleration of our industry rather than a deceleration of it. All of which I found extremely positive.
Yeah, I missed the part about what was surprising, so I just want to add on a little bit there. I think there were two comments that came out that I thought were particularly inspiring there in person. One of them was the little bit of commenting on the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve and David Sachs's framing on the Bitcoin as being particularly special. And he actually used the comment that Bitcoin was created via the Immaculate Conception, which the analogy there is not lost on anyone. What he's saying there is something quite profound. And then Secretary Bessent coming in and saying, hey, we're going to advance the cause of the US dollar, and we're going to do that via stablecoins. I think a lot of us in the industry have been arguing that kind of a notion for many years. And so to see the full embrace that stablecoins are a chance to increase the dominance of the dollar across the globe was incredibly exciting and frankly surprising to see that much of an embrace from not just President Trump himself, but from the cabinet members.
And I'm sure it was validating for you two founders who have been pushing for clarity for so long in the United States, this this moment to gather at the White House with, as you said, Sergey, the top leaders, the most senior leaders of our government, this culmination of that, the United States government is finally prioritizing that. That wasn't the first time you both have been to DC. I follow both of you on social media, as I'm sure many in the audience do. We've seen you guys in DC many times throughout the year. What are each of you trying to achieve in DC through your time spending there? Maybe we'll start with Sergey and then go to Nathan.
Sure. So we have three large overall objectives. One objective relates to the decentralized finance community. Chainlink powers the majority of decentralized finance and became adopted as a technology initially by the DeFi community. So coming up with clear ideas about how the US should approach decentralized finance is something that we're very interested in and something we want to do to help support the DeFi community in general, because we feel very strongly that the DeFi community is a very important part of the blockchain community overall, and that it's also in many ways the future of the global financial system. So one way is how do you make sure that DeFi is approached correctly by the US government, which is very significant globally because the US government is what's known as a super regulator and their decisions ripple out globally. The second thing is about the institutional side of our industry. Chainlink also powers many of the top institutions today. So we power folks like Fidelity International on production. Here at this conference, we announced our transaction with JP Morgan and others. And so there are bills like market structure that are there in DC now. And they cover a lot of the distinction, or try to cover the distinction between cryptocurrency versus some other types of asset, who covers it, the SEC versus the CFTC, and various other topics. But we think there needs to be more clarity to make institutions comfortable with issuing high-quality tokenized and digital assets. And so that's another really, really big goal we have. This extends all the way from the Treasury and OCC and their interpretive guidance letters all the way to Congress and the regulators like the SEC and CFTC. And then the third goal for us is to enable the US Congress and regulators to understand what good technical standards look like for key blockchain-related events like proof of reserves, proof of liabilities, and proof of solvency, right? And proof of composition. So basically, how do you prove things about assets on chain? How do you create reliable standards for cross-chain communication? How do you create automated compliance through on-chain smart contract automation of compliance? So the third one that relates, I would say, the most directly and the most heavily to Chainlink's work is educating the regulators, educating the Congress, and educating the executive branch and everybody about what high-quality technical standards for the US financial system look like for proof of reserves, cross-chain interoperability, automation of compliance through blockchains, those types of topics. So those are our three large overarching goals.
Yeah, like you said, this hasn't been certainly hasn't been my first time in DC. One of the early things that's kind of interesting about Anchorage is probably our third or fourth demo of our technology that we ever showed to anyone in the world was to the SEC. This is back in probably Q1 of 2018. We took our technology to them and showed, hey, we think we can be a qualified custodian for digital assets. We think this is the way of the future, and we actively want to seek regulation. We would like to be under the careful eye of the regulator, and that's been something we've been on since the very beginning. And so the overall engagement with Washington has always been about we can bring regulatory clarity, we can bring thoughtful regulation to the digital asset space. And so what our current engagement there between, I testified a couple of times, I testified both at the House Financial Services Committee and Senate Banking, is that this can be done well, and we think there's an incredible opportunity to do that. We will continue to engage.
So guys, I am taking a slight small break for 5 minutes and I'll be back. Just hold on while you are watching the live markets. So I'll be back in a while. So guys, I'm back. I'm so sorry to have you guys holding. If in case you guys were holding on for me, thank you so much for staying tuned. Yeah. So we were watching the news on Solana's front that the developers of Solana as well as the co-founders talking about it. Just a sec. I really didn't catch that name actually. I think it was
there. This has been kind of something that's always been at the forefront of our minds, and something that we thought was necessary in order to secure institutional adoption in the digital asset ecosystem. And so whether we're engaging on market structure bills, thinking about what is the right kind of separation of responsibilities across the various market participants, we're advocating for some of those things now. On stablecoins, how do we make sure that the stablecoins can come out in a way that they're regulated, thoughtful, safe for individual consumers, and able to expand the dominance of the dollar. And so that's really what we're focused on now, particularly is helping out with those two bills. And then also other areas we're interested in is continued engagement with our primary regulator, the OCC, thinking about like what comes next in terms of banking, thinking about how do we get to the point where we're not the only digital asset bank in the country, but there are dozens or not, if not hundreds, of digital asset banks that are able to participate in the industry. That's really where we want to see this go, and we're kind of advocating for that as much as we can while in Washington.
I want this conversation to be forward-looking. There has been a lot of optimism coming out of DC. There's been great progress from the White House and from Congress, but for Nathan specifically, for Anchorage, it hasn't been all roses. There was a report in Barron's last month about a DHS probe into the company's practice and policies. And I know this may be sensitive, and I hate to put you on the spot, but is there any light you can shed about the probe and where it currently stands?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I'm happy to address that. Look, this article came out. We didn't comment on it. Felt it was irresponsible because it was so speculative in nature. And so we kind of stayed out of participation in that article. But, of course, looked at it and took it seriously, had our lawyers look into it, checked in, uncovered every stone, and there is no investigation into us. That is unambiguously clear at this point. And so, frankly, I'd say that article is what some might call bullshit. And so I'm happy to clear the air on that. For me, the thing that's most kind of makes me most sad about things like that is that it makes me worried that other people won't decide to follow our path. You kind of make your identity about being regulated, about being thoughtful, about following every possible rule, about following rules that don't even exist yet because they're just the right way to do that. And so my sincere hope is that no one would be discouraged from actually pursuing regulatory clarity in the way that we have, because we think it's the right path.
Well, that's fantastic news, and I appreciate you being willing to share that. So, speaking of where some may find a lot of bullshit, let's talk about Congress. we talked.
You're going to get us in trouble.
I got to deal with them on a daily basis. We've talked about stablecoin legislation. We've talked about market structure legislation. For you two gentlemen who are spending a lot of time in DC, what do you think is going to happen in Congress this year?
I feel better predicting the price of Bitcoin. That's a tricky one. Look, I think the highest level thing, and I remain a default optimistic person, so I'll caveat this, that I actually do think both of the bills are going to pass. Both the stablecoin legislation, whether it's the stable or Genius or kind of whatever happens in reconciliation, I do think that's going to pass because there is bipartisan understanding that this is critically important for the U.S.'s standing in the global economy. The opportunity presented by stablecoins is profound, and it's very clear that there is bipartisan understanding of that and bipartisan support from that. And the good news with the stablecoin legislation specifically is that, relatively speaking, quite simple. It's a very specific question: how do you create stablecoins, have them properly reserved, who oversees that, and what does that industry look like? That's a relatively straightforward one to understand, and I think there's a lot of bipartisan support there. I think there's going to be a lot of work to do on market structure. There's a lot of questions. Should the market structure of crypto mirror traditional market structure, or should we have more integrated offerings? I think there's a lot of questions on either side. What are the conflict of interests kinds of things that ought to be considered? There's been a lot of difficult things that have happened in financial markets over time, where safety and soundness of the entire system has been preserved because of that separation of concerns. Custodians having their role, brokers having their role, exchanges having their role. And so I think a lot of the question there is going to come on what is that designation of different responsibilities. So that's one area that needs to be debated and kind of thought through on a bipartisan level. The second one is how do we categorize assets? What actually is a security? What actually is a commodity? What is a stable coin? Who is going to have legislative and kind of oversight responsibility over those? So I think market structure will pass, but it's certainly the bigger bear to be defeated. From our point of view, actually, it's kind of funny because we're more interested in stablecoin bill passing, because that's one where, particularly for Anchorage, regulatory clarity is helpful. Because we're already a national bank, market structure doesn't affect us that much, because national banks are allowed to hold securities, commodities, currencies. And so we have actually a good amount of regulatory clarity on that. But I think for many industry participants, the market structure one will be where a lot of the future of the industry kind of gets debated and fleshed out.
Sergey, what about you? What do you think is going to happen this year in the legislative debate?
I think that stable coins, the stable bills will pass. I think that's in a good place, and there's more agreement there. And there were some last-minute hiccups recently, but I think it's probably going to get largely resolved and pass, and hopefully relatively soon, before the August recess. Market structure, I think, is a much more expansive bill that will affect both the crypto industry and the traditional banking industry as it moves into the Web3 way of doing things. I mean, I think it's absolutely critical, and on the one hand, I want to expand the scope of what it does to make the institutional participants more comfortable with doing more. But on the other hand, I'm kind of worried about expanding the scope in that there's still a number of unsettled things that need to be resolved. I think that the time to pass something like that is definitely now. While there's all this positivity across, both houses, both the House and the Senate, and from the administration and from the regulators, if there was ever a good time to pass a bill like this, it's basically now. So if you can't pass it now, I mean, there has to be some pretty big force at this point that changes the equation to make you pass it later. I mean, that force could be U.S. competitiveness. That force could be people in the government viewing some adversary of the U.S., choosing to do more blockchain stuff and then choosing to catch up to that. That could happen, but the conditions right now are still pretty close to ideal to pass something like that. I am not sure if that's going to pass this year because of how unfinished it is in some respects, and I hope that it does. So I think there's still a lot of different groups proposing a lot of different things, and the market structure bill also has the capacity to give some of those groups advantages if something is passed a certain way, right? So that's my worry about that. But I think at the end of the day, everyone still sees that there's this window in time, and we need to take advantage of that window. So in terms of the positive, or they didn't put it, the optimist side of it, I think at the end of the day, the industry will put aside whatever personal gain they might have and try to take advantage of this brief window. That's my recommendation to like everybody is just pass the thing. Your personal interests are kind of important to you, but don't mess with this window, right? Kind of keep this thing relatively tight and brief, unless there's something really critical, and let's just pass it while the window is there. Is kind of my advice in my view.
Here. Well, maybe, we started the conversation talking about the White House. While Congress is debating this legislation, Nathan, you mentioned your primary regulators, the OCC and the prudential regulators. I imagine, Sergey, you might be dealing more with the market regulators. What are you guys looking for from the regulators as Congress is debating legislation? What do you want to see from the agencies? We have Bo coming on next. What do you want to see from the White House Crypto Task Force?
Yeah, so I think there's a certain class of problems that can only be solved with legislation. And I think between stablecoins and market structure, there's been a good delineation of what can and should be solved at within the legislative body, and in service of like debate and serving the American people. There's a huge amount of things that can be done just by the agencies themselves. Internal rulemaking, interpretation, chartering of new entities, a whole mammoth set of things really that can be done within those particular agencies. You already see the SEC starting to work on this with I think they've had over 100 meetings come in to meet with the Crypto Task Force inside the SEC. I think they've got the opportunity to do incredible amounts about clarifying what is and isn't a security over at the SEC. So just been really impressed with the engagement there. On the OCC side, and not just the OCC, but actually all of the prudential regulators across OCC, Fed, FDIC, they have taken a more open approach to say, hey, blockchain can be done and can be well. We've invested in understanding it. This, the OCC said they've invested in it for the last 4 years in overseeing us. And based on that understanding now, they are ready to allow others to come in and get registered. And so I think you're seeing a generally lifting of the cloud across at least those 4 agencies. But I think that's going to happen to other places as well. CFTC will be also be doing that. And then, personally, I'm pretty excited about things at the White House regarding the strategic Bitcoin reserve. I think that's it's a fascinating opportunity to look through, like, hey, what does it look like for the U.S. to at least hold the existing Bitcoin they have and not kind of lose out on the gains that are going to come over the next few years from the appreciation there. So that's another one that I'm tracking, and generally speaking, I've been super impressed with the White House's engagement. Bo Hines is fantastic. I know he's coming up next. And so I've been really impressed there, and really looking forward to what comes next.
From my point of view, the Trump administration, Bo Hines, David Sachs are doing a fantastic job. I think we're all very lucky to have them in our industry's corner, advocating for it and working hard every day to make it something that'll bloom in the United States. From the regulators, I think through rulemaking at places like the SEC and the CFTC, you can have interpretive guidance that comes out relatively quickly on topics like transfer agency, various other key topics that would make it easier to build high-quality tokenized assets, digital assets, real-world assets in the U.S. financial system. And then from the OCC, there's a number of interpretive letters that limit banks in holding cryptocurrency, dealing with cryptocurrency, that if they were revised, you could have more institutional adoption of blockchain technology and more outputting of high-quality assets. So I think the White House, Bo and David and Trump administration are already doing massively great things for our industry, moving things forward in a very positive way. The regulators are very open and positive. Some interpretive guidance to clarify things for institutions would be very positive, and for our industry in general, reducing the risk of doing things on chain. And the OCC's interpretive letters getting revised, or some things there to make it clear that dealing with cryptocurrencies, how to account for cryptocurrencies, holding cryptocurrencies, all these things are safe and something that banks and regulated institutions can do. Those things happening quickly even before market structure, stablecoins, I think, could have a pretty big and nearer term impact, even than legislation. So those are the things I'd be looking at, or I am looking at and working on.
Unfortunately, 25 minutes goes very quickly, and we're out of time. Thank you both for your leadership in the industry. Thank you both for your leadership in DC. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Nathan and Sergey.
Hello and welcome to CoinDesk Live. We are coming to you from behind the scenes of the Avalanche Summit in London. I'm Jen Sanasi here with my co-host Sam Ewan. Sam, we are here for day 2.
We are.
We had fish and chips last night. We are in London. We're doing it all. Talk to me about some of the highlights. What did you walk away from yesterday with?
I thought yesterday was great. We talked to a lot of people. I was really fascinated with talking to Nikhil from JP Morgan. Just how much they're committed into the ecosystem right now. You know, JP Morgan's one of those that we always hear in crypto about the idea of like Jamie Dimon doesn't like Bitcoin and whatever, but they're building so much. I think there's like 300 engineers, last I heard, all trying to figure out digital assets in the JP Morgan ecosystem. So I thought that was a good conversation. Emin, of course, brought it. He told us all the sort of highlights of his keynote, which he then delivered on. I loved talking about Napster and LimeWire and the kind of...
You love talking about Napster
anything old school technology is my thing. Also, Jen, the grounds we're on are just stunning. So after we finished, we wrapped filming, we did a little bit of a walk around, went to the wellness area. We saw some performers. There was a woman dancing with a cage on her head. It was wild.
It was a lot. Well, I mean, we are at Hatfield House. It is a historic site. We learned yesterday that this is where Queen Elizabeth I lived for some time, was her family home. So a lot of history here. So that's been really interesting. I want to build off of what you said, having Emin here and just learning about his scientific background. He comes from academia. He's really thinking thoughtfully about this space, and to know that he was thinking about tokenization before the Bitcoin paper was even written, or the Bitcoin white paper, sorry, this was really fascinating to hear. I had not heard Emin's backstory before. I had not heard the Avalanche origin story. So that was really interesting. And I'm really excited, as you know, for talking about gaming today. We have the Chief Business Officer of MapleStory coming on the show later. One of the biggest gaming IPs out of Korea recently launched their blockchain version of their game on Avalanche. And just really curious how legacy brands like that are thinking about integrating crypto into gaming, especially since gaming audiences haven't really been super receptive to crypto elements. So really interested in hearing about that later today.
Yeah, I think the gaming narrative is one we've talked about a lot. We spoke a lot about at Consensus too. I will say that I think that the press and the media, of which we are, sometimes overblow the challenges within blockchain gaming. And I say that because most of the large gaming platforms right now have their own marketplaces. People can resell assets, right? We'll hear about, like a Counter-Strike skin going for $500,000, or something in Fortnite, being resold. I don't think that it's that far away. I think that people are just wary of the idea of the over-financialization. How does that take away from gameplay? Mm-hmm. And the fact is, when you think of Gunzilla, when you think of MapleStory, if you're making a great game, people are going to come play anyway. And so that's the thing we haven't actually had in Web3 games for a while, which is these really great games. We're starting to get them, though.
I agree with you completely. A lot of the elements of crypto are already in gaming. I think it's just the word NFTs, the word blockchain. As it starts to fall into the background, I think it makes crypto gaming maybe a little bit more accessible.
It's going to get there.
It's going to get there. All right. You'll just have to wait and see later on the broadcast what we discover when it comes to crypto gaming. We're going to bring in our first guest now today, Crypto in America host, Eleanor Terrett. Hello.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Now, you have been at the conference, obviously, since yesterday. What have some of the highlights been for you?
Well, obviously the grounds. So beautiful, and the historic nature. I had no idea that Queen Elizabeth I grew up here, and she actually learned that she was going to be queen here when her sister Mary died. So much history, and I'm looking forward to taking the tour later. Other things, we interviewed Emin yesterday live on stage, and he actually told us about his debanking story. He told us that he was debanked, and unsurprising now as these debanking stories have come out, and much more of a, seems to be a very widespread thing, at least it was a couple of years ago. He was debanked by KeyBank. He actually said that on stage, so that was very interesting. And also, you mentioned, Jen, his very technical background, right? He comes from Cornell. He was just sort of this like tech whiz that saw potential in blockchain technology. So I feel like he really is sort of one of these people. He's not a crypto bro, as it were, by any means, but he's just a very smart technical guy who sees the potential of blockchain and of crypto. And something that was interesting last night, we had a dinner and Emin was there, and I'd always thought of Avalanche when I covered my previous job, covered more policy as opposed to just like diving into like some of these these chains, right? The Avalanches, the Solanas. I said I've always put Avalanche together with gaming, and you guys just mentioned gaming, right? And they're like, oh no, like we don't want to just pigeonhole ourselves into that like gaming aspect. But like just for me, coming from sort of like trad media, as it were, I always had this image of Avalanche as a gaming chain, but it's actually so much more. And I learned yesterday, there's way more going on than just gaming on Avalanche. So I learned a lot so far. It's been a great day, and I'm looking forward to the rest of today and tomorrow.
I'm really interested in the conversation when we spoke with him, and I don't know if this came up on stage, but he mentions doing all of this work in really 2001, 2002 after 9/11, and then he said he kind of abandoned it for a while, and then Bitcoin and the rise of digital assets kind of brought him back in.
Yeah.
And we were having this conversation about how anyone who was working in the space of sort of flexible money, like in borderless money, was sort of told not to do this right after 9/11. The idea that it would encourage terrorism, which has been a narrative in crypto,
right, still is
for decades now. But I wonder what would have happened if 9/11 hadn't happened in that respect.
Right.
If this all would have advanced earlier, because you almost needed 9/11, you almost needed the financial crisis of 2008 to bring out Bitcoin into where it was, because there were projects before that, as we know. So I'm really interested in his background and learning more about that with him.
He said that on stage too. He said, I think we are behind now where we could have been had that not happened. He said there's projects that we were thinking about that could have been miles ahead of where they are today. So just thinking about what life events, what regulators, a small subset of government officials can do to one massive sector is it's pretty crazy to think about.
Eleanor, are there other areas that you think that Avalanche is doing good work in? I know for me, the idea of these really flexible L1s that anyone can create, and their team really supports just so many L1s coming out, and L1s for very specific use cases. That's one that I'm really interested in. Is there other stuff that you heard about that was like, oh, this is something I want to learn more about?
Well, I thought it was interesting during his speech. He said, we've been sort of the chain, the welcoming chain, right? Like I can never say that word, interoperability. But now we're trying to focus on us as a chain, on Avalanche. So I feel like there's going to be much more building, much more growing just on the main chain, which will be something, probably to watch. But that stood out to me yesterday. But I like everything that they're doing. In full transparency, I came from a big media outlet and covered mostly policy and regulation. So in this new role of mine at Crypto in America, I am getting to learn a lot more about the DeFi side of things, the different chains, what they're doing, the decentralization, the blockchain. So I'm still learning. I think myself is learning on the fly pretty much every day, but I love it. It's very interesting.
I want to draw on your background covering policy, legislation, regulation in the United States. We talked a lot about it here yesterday. Of course, we had the stablecoin vote earlier this week. I know you were covering. I think you were up at like 3 a.m. covering it.
Guilty.
And like Sam mentioned, we had a lot of conversations here about institutional adoption, about stable coins, real world assets that I think this legislation is really going to pave the way for when it comes to financial institutions in the U.S. Really starting to experiment in this space. Talk to me a little bit about what you're watching and what you think is going to happen with stablecoin legislation this year, and more broadly the market structure bill.
So today we have a vote 4 hours from now about will be the motion to proceed. So what we had on Monday was basically the motion to proceed on the motion to proceed. So very technical. And today we have the motion to proceed to start debate and amendment process on the floor for the Genius Act. So what you can expect today, if that vote passes, and judging on Monday's vote, it probably will. Never say never, but most likely we'll see a lot of amendments from certain senators. So I know Senator Ted Cruz is trying to put his anti-CBDC rider in there. there's from Dick Durbin and I forget the other senator's name. They're trying to put their credit card, and I'm forgetting all the names now, but basically like credit card, they want to expand out from the two major credit card companies to like have better, like a more level playing field for credit card companies, and then also to protect consumers from like those massive like service fees. So they're basically trying to insert this rider into the Genius bill. It's getting a lot of pushback. Consumers want it, obviously, because we pay less, right? Big banks don't want it, and senators don't really want to have to choose between like the big banks and the public, right? Like how are we going to choose that? So that's going to be something to watch. If it gets in, if it passes, I'm not sure it will, but bottom line is that we're watching for quite a few amendments. Trump's crypto venture conflicts of interest will definitely be something to watch on the floor, and also any AML additions. So all that to say, today's going to be a busy day, and we could see maybe a final vote before. I think it's looking more likely after Memorial Day at this point. But then we get right into market structure, right? And then August is the deadline, like right before August recess. I think August recess starts August 1st. So we're counting down those days. Are we going to make it? I don't know. It'll be something that I'm asking my panelists today, my legal panelists. I'm going to be like, what's your take? Are we going to get it through?
I look forward to talking to you later, because one of your panelists, I saw them in the lineup for coffee this morning, and I said, do you think we're going to get market structure this year? And he said yes, which was kind of the opposite of what I heard from most of the legal experts I spoke to at Consensus. So I will find you later to find out what the insights are.
Yeah, I'll give you an update.
All right. All right, we're going to take a quick break now. We'll be right back.
Monetize directly in app. But it's honest work.
Welcome back to CoinDesk Live. We are coming to you from the Avalanche Summit in London. We were just joined by Crypto in America host Eleanor Terrett, and now Avalab's Chief Business Officer John Nahas joins us backstage. Hello.
Hi, good to be with you guys.
Good to have you here. Now, in our last conversation, we were talking about the narratives we hear in the media about Avalanche. One really strong one last year was gaming. Mm-hmm. Now we're hearing a lot about institutions, stable coins. Talk to me as the Chief Business Officer, what Avalanche is really focused on as we head into the second half of the year.
So I think, we've had strengths, and particularly last year, given the known regulatory environment, we had a big push on the enterprise side, on the institutional side. On the enterprise side, particularly with gaming, there was a need. And that aligned also with our technical roadmap. So, we had this ability to launch Avalanche L1s, which were previously called subnets. And at the time, we were only allowed for permissioned public or permissioned private use cases, which inevitably are ideal for government, for institutional, and for business use cases. Now, with the upgrades that we had at the end of last year, we have more public permissionless chains coming. Effectively for us, it's not as much a industry focus as much as highlighting use cases. So the industries that we focus on, or the verticals that we have, would be institutional capital markets, enterprise and consumer, gaming, crypto native, DeFi, as well as AI, DeepIn, and all the other use cases. But additionally, I think where we're different and we stand out is we took a more global approach about 2 years ago with local heads. So we're strong in Korea, Japan, India, the Middle East, primarily the UAE and Saudi, expanding in LATAM and other places as well. So effectively for us and for me in my seat and for our team, it's highlighting amazing use cases within different industries and different jurisdictions and showing how Avalanche's technology allows for that interplay and interoperability between them. Our ultimate goal is switching from initially highlighting applications to highlighting different chains or different ecosystems and how that interoperability between them works.
John, I'm interested in your role as a CBO. You talk about use cases, you talk about verticals, we talk about experiments a lot in crypto. When do you think you have made it in any of those? What's the KPI, the measurement that you're utilizing to say, okay, we've achieved what we want to here and now we are going to continue to build?
So I think some of our competitors look at it differently. I think some are fantastic at the top-down approach, which it usually means you get a headline, they talk about it, and then they use that to get another headline and they build upon a narrative. But the adoption doesn't happen. Others are doing really well from the bottom up, focusing solely on developers. I like to think we need to do both. We need some high-level kind of validation and authority and credibility that comes with that, which inspires the developers and the innovators to build from the bottom up. For us, what matters would be number of chains deployed, number of users, number of transactions, but also transactions between chains, which is what we're building towards. But to do that, we need to fill up all the verticals with different use cases, build that together. We have focused for a long time on bringing real use cases, real adoption, and real businesses on chain. I think that is what's sustainable. I think that's why 4.5 years into this journey on Avalanche, we're, I think, at the precipice of our next major leg up for the network and for adoption in the space in general. If I had tried to time it this well, I don't think I could have. So a little bit of luck goes a long way. We've been kind of happy to see the industry shift towards adoption, utility, real use cases. I mean, there's only so many narrative cycles that we can continuously as an industry go through over and over that is just speculative. You burn people out that way. You burn out users. You don't get that adoption. And this technology is transformative and it should be used for good. And it could be used in a way that I think drives just better outcomes, better use cases, better things. My North Star is for a killer app to be built. I don't know what it is, because if I did, I'd probably be building it myself. My job is to enable innovators to build great things. And we haven't had that aha moment where, I think social media for Web 2 or email for Web 1, we haven't had that thing that people just use and love to use and it just happens to be on blockchain. I know that's cliche and, blockchains arrive when you don't know you're using it. Well, right now, this industry is so focused on always putting the blockchain in your face, right? Like when you log into Netflix, it doesn't say Netflix powered by AWS. But I think we've seen first, second, and third generation blockchains in terms of technology over the course of many years that are incrementally better, that are faster or cheaper or whatever, right? Focused. I think we're still stuck in a first generation blockchain business. And what I mean by that is, we just keep reinventing more and more general purpose blockchains. General purpose chains that are supposed to do everything, right? AI and DeepIn and payments and meme coins and DeFi and like the world is not built that way. So I think we're kind of still in the AOL moment, I like to call it. I'm old enough to remember AOL, where you log in and see everything on one page. Blockchains aren't that difficult anymore. I think what we're showing is that you can proliferate blockchains, kind of like WordPress did for websites or Shopify did for e-commerce. Different companies are going to need their own chains. Different businesses are going to need their own chains. Different use cases are going to need their own chains. So it's a shift in the way I think people think about the industry. When a chain's product is not only its token, but it's what it enables. And we're really seeing a lot of adoption here, and particularly with Summit this week, a lot of builders across a lot of industries, a lot of geographies are here. And these are, seasoned professionals or innovators that are trying something new.
Based on what you just said, I'm curious about the future you envision. Are we building towards a future where the layer ones we see today consolidate, or is it a future where we see way more layer ones for very specific use cases attached to very specific businesses?
I think there should be a consolidation. I like to say that the problem in the industry is there's too many blockchains and too much block space, particularly general purpose. So I do think some need to go away. A lot actually need to go away or consolidate. But at the same time, we don't have enough blockchains and block space, meaning it needs to proliferate. But for specific businesses, like I don't envision a world where every bank doesn't have their own chain for intra-bank settlement. And then all these chains connect to other bank chains. And now you have a settlement network a la Swift, but on-chain. The same with enterprises, the same with payments networks, the same with everything else. So I envision a world where there's thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not more blockchains. I just think we've been focusing on this world that prioritizes the narrative, that prioritizes in the short term a token, and the innovation stops, right? The need to innovate and really deliver is kind of taken away from these guys. But if you can proliferate blockchains that have interoperability, that have customizability, right? Right now, it's like, here's my chain, fit your problem, fit your business into my solution. Again, it's cliche, but we just keep reinventing the same wheel in this industry. We need to look at a different path. Like, why are we not giving every single bank their own chain? Why are we not giving every municipality or state or government their own chain, right? Like, I wrote this whole thread once about, like, when Elon was talking about Doge and government stuff, like, every government office should have their own chain. And you can just, it could be permissioned, but publicly viewed. Banks and regulated financial entities need privacy. We're delivering on the privacy front. AvaCloud from Ava Labs just did that yesterday. So I think the things that make the industry better, or the tools that are needed, haven't been really built that much, and they're starting to be now. And I think we're going to see a lot more chains. I envision a world potentially where every one of us has our own chain, where that chain holds your identity, your records, your assets, and whatever else it is.
We talked about Samcoin yesterday, so now we have Samchain, powered by Samcoin.
Yeah, well, and I also think, to your point, the idea that in a world in the future of AI, where we might want to say everything that we are putting out there that could be trainable is actually owned by us.
Yes.
Having your own chain makes a lot of sense.
Your chain would have your own agent. Your agent would act on your behalf. You could set parameters for it. You can start to see a world, and I talked about this yesterday in my keynote, where you can start to digitize and tokenize things that currently are not there. And this is kind of like your attention, right? Your opinions, your reputation, your data, whatever it may be. And we're bringing some new companies on chain that are looking to do certain things this way. So it's exciting to see what comes next.
John, I want to dive into something you said specifically around, let's say, banks having their own chains. I remember, and I'm also old enough to know these things too, it's like we had the AOLs, we then got the Facebooks. Mm-hmm. At some point, software became a lot of middleware, right? It was really the translation software. Do you envision, as all of these chains pop up, let's even make the assumption they're all L1s on Avalanche, that they inherently have that translation ability built in? Because one bank's going to do it their way, another bank's going to do it their way, one's settling in euros, another one's settling in dollars. Or is this actually an opportunity for those to build who really are looking at this omni-chain world and just saying anything can just plug in as long as we know the data set, that we then can translate it again? Maybe that's where AI comes in. How does the idea of middleware work on blockchain?
So I'll talk first about on the Avalanche side, right? I think Avalanche was built from the ground up with this thesis in mind, that you need to have interoperability between as many chains as possible, and it doesn't all have to be the same virtual machine. So currently, all Avalanche L1s are EVM based, but we have some that are coming that are not. They have customizable virtual machines. We should have the Solana virtual machines and Move virtual machine chains and all these working together, and we have that interoperability layer. I think currently it's just way too siloed. The way it's been, and you have to rely on third-party bridges, right? And third-party bridges, they have their own incentives, and different chains have their own incentives to not want users to leave. Middleware, I think, is what's been missing. We have too much infrastructure on the bottom and a lot of speculative kind of applications on the top, but not enough people building that middleware, to your point, of picks and shovels and the roads. We're building a lot of cities. And we're building a lot of cool stuff in these cities, but we don't have enough roads, we don't have enough plumbing, we don't have enough electrical wiring going around. To make an analogy there, I think it's really important, and I don't think the financial incentive has been there so much, because who's going to fund that, right? Like a layer one network's not going to want to fund that. VCs are aligned oftentimes with certain networks, so it doesn't really give that incentive to open this thing up and connect things and let things flow freely. We have a network that allows that, but would love to see more innovation on that front.
Earlier in our conversation, you were talking about this focus on regions and what's happening in the region. Last Avalanche Summit was in Buenos Aires. We were there broadcasting live. This time we're in London. When you look at the regions that Avalanche is focused on, where you're having your builder communities, the incubators happening, which one is the most exciting for you? Where is the bustling development happening?
So I have 3 kids at home.
Okay.
And if you ask me to pick one of my favorite, I cannot tell you.
I was going to ask you to pick a favorite use case.
I can't. I can't pick a favorite region. Each one is so different, and that actually underpins why we did this. Emin and John, who came to me, they were like, "We want to expand the team. What do you think?" And look, technology is global, but business is local. What works in the U.S. doesn't necessarily work in even Canada, right? And what works in Japan doesn't work in Korea, and vice versa. Different regions have different compliance and regulatory concerns, but they have different builders and different users and just different things. So I'll highlight some of the great stuff that we do. I know in Korea we've done fantastic work with enterprise and with gaming. In Japan, institutional work, most recently with Sumitomo Mitsui and Konami. Turkey, we have a very big developer community, more crypto native community, payments. The Middle East, we're doing a lot in Saudi and the UAE around payments, remittance, cross-border, institutional. LATAM, a lot of payments again. So it's a little bit of everything. What's exciting to me is seeing how these connect. So especially with our Asia team, I know our Singapore team is working very closely with our Japan team and our Korea team, and we're doing some stuff there. We have XSGD, which is a Singapore dollar. They've been doing remittances and payments between enterprises with Hong Kong, so we're looking to establish a bigger presence in Hong Kong as well. So it's kind of like the regions are doing BD with each other, which is kind of cool, because like 2 of my country leads or regional leads will like connect on an idea and then connect 2 people between each other. That's ultimately our job, is to facilitate and connect people and ideas and capital and developers to really help.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us
My pleasure.
behind the scenes at the summit.
Awesome.
That was Ava Labs Chief Business Officer John Nahas. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
So we are, I think it's a very big video, to be honest. Like it's a 2 hours, 20 minutes video. Probably I would be continuing this in my next session that would be scheduled between 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. So guys, so much to learn in this crypto world, like, so much development, so much that's happening across. We were just seeing some of the, innovations or developments that are happening across the chains. Avalanche being one, which is basically seeing so much development, and there's so many things happening in the background which we don't understand. And why we take these things, why we take you through these things, is because you need to understand what's happening in the industry, so you will be able to make those right kind of decisions. So having said that Bitcoin is soaring very high. Why would that be soaring very high? It's something that we need to know, right? So that's the reason I'm getting I'm doing deep dives into each cryptocurrency to be able to get you the answer that you should be knowing, so that you make the informed decisions, and also you should be knowing everything that's happening across the industry. I understand that some of the things might be coming as too much to handle at a very early stage, but to be a successful trader, to be a successful investor in cryptocurrency or crypto markets, it's very much important that you understand every bit of it. So we have seen in past 1.5 hour why Bitcoin's price was has like surged like to 111,000, or why Ethereum's price has been rising like crazy, or why Solana is actually pumping like crazy. So these are all the reasons that are majorly impacting the overall performances of the cryptocurrencies. Definitely there's so much development that's happening across Bitcoin being adopted as the strategic reserve across a lot of so guys, thank you for joining in. I will be getting back to you on that. So so these are the major reasons for why these Bitcoin or all these cryptocurrencies are soaring very high. So I have a Trading Ninja. He has joined the session. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining in. We are almost heading towards the end of the session, while my co-host Yash will be joining in next 2 hours to be with you guys, and then post that 3 to 5 will be again where I will be live. So your question is, what is your take on major liquidation and cash outs causing dumping? So my take on major liquidation and cash outs, guys, you all know, I mean, I'm sure, I don't know what's your level of expertise in crypto markets, or what's your level of experience in crypto markets, but we all know for a reason that crypto markets see these kind of pumps and dumps all the time, and this is not something new that we are ever coming across. So I don't think it's a major thing to be really fearful of all about. I know for short-term people, like maybe people who like to trade for short-term periods, it might be a matter of concern, but for people who always take long-term positions, for them it really don't matter that any major liquidations, cash outs or things like that. I know definitely the major that basically we know for a fact that majorly all of these things impact the overall prices of the cryptocurrencies. Definitely it has major impact. The whale the entries, whale exits, or the institutional adoptions, or the institutional investings, and all of that has major impact on the prices of cryptocurrencies. But for all the small retail investors, it does impact in a very negative way. I totally get it sometimes, because I myself, I can consider myself as a small retail investor, not a very major investor or a trader. So for me also, I always see that whenever I'm investing a small little amount, also it kind of impacts my overall trading strategy or my trading plan or whatever. So it's not to worry. Yes, definitely these are all short-term things that kind of holds you back, but for long term it's definitely a great thing to grow. Even if right now anything is holding back, then you guys have, like, we all have that ample opportunity to be able to get through it during the low phases. Obviously there's so much buying that we can do, and definitely wait for the good days to come, and we can definitely get great rewards through it. So coming to your next question, Trading Ninja, how much portfolio does CheezyBit manage? That is something that I really cannot reveal it out. I'm sure it is a big it's a big platform. Definitely you will be seeing a lot more happening on this platform. So at the moment I really cannot give you any kind of numbers or things like that, or I don't know if that's actually really right for me to reveal that out also. I'm not too sure at the moment. I would have to maybe check with the company policies if I can actually reveal this out. But yes, it is a good company. I mean, as in, are you really talking about any particular cryptocurrencies, or are you asking about CheezyBit as an investor, or CheezyBit as a portfolio of the customers? What exactly is your question? Actually, I really want to understand. While portfolio could mean from both the point of views, that it could be either that because companies also invest into other things as investments, or company also hold, because this is also investment based company, so they also hold portfolios of the customers. So what exactly are you asking, from the customer's point of view or from the company's point of view? And also, to be precise, I really do not know at this moment I should be answering to any of the questions that you're asking related to this, but you can be little more precise in terms of what exactly Yeah, definitely. We are going to have a launch of a platform really very soon. Zbit is going to be live. You guys are going to have that platform which will be giving you the opportunity to do spot trading, futures, margin, anything that you would like to utilize. Yes, we are very much, there in the market for quite some time. Past 2-3 years, we've been doing well. We were not on the trading platform as such, but you will see us, slowly deep diving into that sector as well. Right now, we were all about P2P, and we were all about dealing with P2P transactions and things like that, and payment gateways and things like that. But going forward, you will have a lot more products coming on the Zbit and the CheezyBit platform that would help you in developing your financial journey. So I will be able to share that with you. Currently, because we are almost ending towards the end of this session, I am right now, though I belong to Zbit and CheezyBit, I'm at the moment actually just trading on my Binance platform, and you can see I have almost invested, I have drawn, I'm not putting like too much of money at the moment. So my 90 days profit stands at around $245. You can see 90 days doesn't mean that 90 days completely I have traded for 90 days. It's a couple of trades that I've taken, and it's not even 90 days. It should be like 30 or like 1.5 months that I have traded, and just a couple of trades within which I got these things. Yesterday, I took 2 trades and I was able to get around $25 on that. I think $26 is what I made in yesterday's trade. But today, I'm still waiting on for one of my lot to give me that profit, which I haven't really got so far. So hopefully by end of tonight, I'm sure I'm going to get that profit that I am actually aiming for. So I'll be sharing that with you guys on an ongoing basis to be able to connect with you guys, to establish that trust that you guys are looking for, guys. Trading Ninja, if you're able to give me your real name, it would be good for me to be addressing you with that name. It will be good on my part to kind of call you with your real name, so that we have that established trust and we have that good relation, so that in future, even when you are coming on our channel to kind of also use the platform, the Zbit platform that you're going to use for maybe spot trading or whatnot, you will have that kind of security from our end, and you'll have that confirmation from our end. So guys, you can be assured of that thing. We are going to support you and guide you at every step. So even when you join our platform, on our Zbit platform, you will get all the guidance that you need and all the support that you need. So guys, I'm almost heading towards the end of the session, because now there's another streamer that is going to join for another couple of hours. So we will have me joining again back at between 3 to 5 p.m. So stay tuned. Maybe I'm going to deep dive more onto the other things and other aspects of it, not just Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, a lot more other exciting things that we can talk about. We have definitely seen how there are so many summits that are happening in London, in Buenos Aires, in different countries, part of the world, where so much development on the crypto front and the blockchain technology happening, which is creating the usage, which is creating the adoption across the globe. People are accepting it worldwide, and we are seeing that the prices of each cryptocurrency soaring so high. So we have seen this recently with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, every particular aspect of it. Every cryptocurrency is increasing. The prices are increasing because it's highly in demand. Reason being, it's highly adopted, and also basically because of the adoption, as well as there's so much development that's been happening across. So we will cover more of the news and more of the information on that part, and also find out, deep dive into all of these things much more in my coming session. So coming to, will you be traveling to the summits? Never know. If my company gives me that opportunity, why not? I will be happy to do so, and I will be very much happy to explore more and more about it. I would love to do that. So Traveling is something that I really love, and on top of it, research is something that I really enjoy doing it. So if I get the chance to, I will jump into it. So guys, stay tuned until I get back to you guys between 3 to 5 p.m. again, which is scheduled for today. So next, within a couple of hours, you will see my co-host Yash joining you and having you taking you through a different topic altogether. So take care of yourself while I come back and join you guys between 3 to 5 p.m. And have a great afternoon ahead, and enjoy your lunch. I think it's lunchtime, so it's lunchtime in Dubai. So hopefully you guys will have a great lunch, and I will catch with you in a couple of hours.